Did Anthony scare you when you were outside there and he pounded on the wall?
I thought it was a bear.
He thought it was a bear.
Yeah.
At least it wasn't a ghost.
Yeah, it wasn't a ghost. Well, let's start talking about ghosts.
Yeah, so I was going to say, I know we're supposed to be talking, random stuff and bring stuff up, but I was doing a backup on my computer the other day, right?
A backup on your
Backup,
computer.
yeah.
Get
Back
rid of
in-
all
I got-
that nasty stuff that
Get
was
rid of all
on
the
there.
nasty stuff,
Yeah.
deleting the history, you know the deal. But I have a portable hard drive, and I was putting all the pictures on there, and I remembered when I lived in West Stafford and ran with the fire company up there, we believed the fire company was haunted. And you guys just mentioned ghosts, just ringing my head here. We actually did one of those, the ghost hunters or whatever it was on TV.
Paranormal investigation.
Yes, we
Wait a
did.
minute.
We had a company come in, but we did it ourselves too. You guys
you
ever
had a
do anything
company
like that?
come in.
We
You
did
had-
both.
What company? Was it on TV or not?
It was amateur guys, local. They heard the rumors and they wanted to come and do it, but we did one ourselves. We sat there with the cameras and asked the questions with the
Right.
recorders and photo orbs. And one of the pictures I got, the door to the out of the banquet hall going into the bunk room, you could see the clear outline of a firefighter wearing his helmet walking by. It was the coolest thing.
What?
And I didn't think to bring it because I didn't think we'd be chit chatting. But yeah, you guys ever do anything like that, like ghost hunters and stuff type of thing?
I
I mean,
haven't.
I've watched the shows.
Yeah.
But
Well-
it's hard for me to believe any of that.
I haven't done an investigation, but so I just moved into a new house,
Right.
right? And my daughter is on the lower level, and she kept telling me that she was seeing a dark figure in her doorway at night. Now she leaves her door open, and it's pretty dark out there. So I'm like a skeptic, right? So I'm like, all right, whatever. So then she's telling me like it looks like a doctor, like it looks like a doctor thing on.
Oh wow.
Like it looks like a doctor standing there, and I'm like,
At her doorway, in her
in
room?
in her doorway, like between her door and the other doorway that's there, it's a dark figure that looks like a doctor.
And this is at night?
It's dark down there, so I don't know if it's during the day or at night. But she basically said she's seen this figure, so I didn't think nothing of it. I just kind of blew it off, and then I was talking to the guy that used to own my house, and I was asking questions about the one room there is all this really old, like 150-year-old barnwood, and you've probably seen it in one of our videos. So it looks like paneling, but it's actually barnwood that was from a legit barn that was on my property.
Wow.
And
From what year, you think?
it's old, like early 1900s. So
That's pretty cool.
the previous homeowner is like, oh yeah, so there's a story behind that wood. And I'm like, what? And he goes, the previous owner of the house, the guy that built the house, actually stole the wood from the farm next door. And he had it all cut up and put into that room, and like that was his room. And I'm like, oh, that's weird. He goes, yeah, he was a doctor in town. And I'm like,
Nuh-uh.
did you just say doctor? And he's like, yeah, he was a doctor, like an old, back in the day
Right.
doctor. And I said, really? And I was just thinking like, well, that's weird because now she's telling me she's seeing this guy that looks like a doctor. And then I find out that the original guy that built the house was a doctor.
Wow.
That's bizarre, man.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
a cool story.
It's creepy.
My house is only 18 years old. It's not very old. But the original owner, his wife, passed away in the bedroom, and I'm waiting. I want to believe in ghosts. I do. And like I said, I had the picture. Interpret it how you will. I want to believe in ghosts, but until I see one, and I'm waiting for her to haunt it, but she's not haunting the house. So I don't know.
You can't force them,
You can't. No.
and you really don't
You
want
don't
it.
really want it. Maybe there's just good vibes.
I want it.
in
I
the
want
house.
to see it to believe it. Is
Right.
what it is.
So talking about seeing to believe it, I don't believe in any of this at all. But there's one story I have, and then that's it. My uncle was struck and killed by a car crossing a road, going to a bar or coming from a bar, and at the time he was in a rehab, and he just got out, but he's walked all his life. He never had a driver's license. He knew how to cross streets,
He was a walker. One of those people you always see walking down the road.
Exactly. He knew how to
Professional
cross
walker.
streets
Like
professionally.
grandma,
Right,
where she got hit by the reindeer.
right. Well, not really. So the week before he passed, I used to work at a bowling alley, and I said, "Oh, let's go bowling, Kenny." Right. So we walk in the front door, and those real heavy things like the shocks that are up top. I walk in first, like the shock absorber at the top of like an industrial door.
Oh,
like
the open and closer thing?
Oh,
the
yeah,
thing,
yeah,
right?
okay.
So I walk in, and then my uncle walks in, right? And this thing comes down and almost kills him, dude. Like drops, and he ducked quick enough.
Yeah.
But it would have probably, like at least cut a bone or
Impaled
something,
him.
or impaled
Yeah.
him. So a week later, we're all sitting there watching the news, and my grandma got a call saying Kenny was hit by a car. And it was surreal. It was in New Jersey, in Chislehurst. And there it was, like on the news, his shoe. And my nanny knew, my grandma knew, oh my God, it's Kenny. And sure enough, the cops came 4 hours later and said, we're sorry, he was struck and killed. Long story short is I worked at that bowling alley, and a week after he passed away, we did his wake and everything. When you turn off the back, I went and hit the circuit breakers all off, because you turn off the whole back and it gets dark. Mm-hmm. And I'll never forget walking from the circuit breaker to the front. It's pitch black. My hairs are standing up, and I saw a figure in front of me, dude, and it looked just like
really.
Wow. And I don't believe that at all, but that made me believe that maybe there might be something out there, because I'm telling you, I can remember it like it was yesterday.
It's crazy.
That is
Yeah.
crazy.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a situation. For me, the only way I can kind of relate to any of these stories is I recognize that, after somebody passes, I've been at different viewings where a priest or somebody will talk about the kiss of an angel's wing. And people will come back and revisit you after they've passed to kind of let you know that they're there. And
I've heard of that. People doing their dreams too.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And my father, before he passed, would love to go down the shore, and for whatever reason, always would point out rainbows. And we did a car show down in Wildwood one year, the year after he passed.
Your dad has a really cool car, by the way, that you have now.
Yeah.
Which is what?
It's an Oldsmobile Cutlass. And I
Original
know you guys are into
muscle
cars
cars.
too, yeah. So
Not Camaros.
we handed out a trophy that year.
That's a Matchbox.
And we were really concerned about the weather, because it was really questionable, and it just so happened that year there was this huge rainbow in the sky
Oh wow.
the year we were giving out the trophy. And I just thought man, that's him watching over us, saying, you know what, I'm really proud of you guys for carrying on my legacy this way.
That made you feel good, though, didn't it?
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's actually a good thing.
Yeah.
So I have one more story that I just remembered, and this is something that my dad told me, right? And my mom is totally not into the supernatural. She laughs about it and all. She's a big skeptic. So back when my parents were dating, my dad took my mom in Berlin, right by the Berlin Mart. There's a ball field over there, and that's where they have the fireworks and stuff. Well, a lot of people don't know is that there used to be a village there back in early times. It's at the headwaters of the Great Egg Harbor River. And they used to have covered wagons that would meet there, and they would unload onto boats and bring it into Egg Harbor City and stuff. So my dad was there with my mom one night, and they were getting high, I think, and my dad was sitting there, and he's looking down there's a dirt road there, and he's looking down there, and my mom's looking down there, and my dad saw a woman carrying a big log or a limb on her shoulders, and there was 2 pails of water hanging off of it, and she had a customary dress on, and she was hovering across the road.
Wow.
And he's freaked out, right? And he looks at my mom and he says, "Do you see that?" And my mom said, "The woman with the gown on with the water jugs?
What?
They both saw it.
Wow.
And he's like, yes. And she goes, I see her. And she kind of looked in their direction. My mom said she didn't have legs. All she could see was up top and then her dress, and it was just kind of floating like this, had no legs, and just went across the road like that and then just disappeared.
See, that's what I'm talking. I would like to see something like that. I believe it's possible, but until I see it.
But you know what's really makes the hair on my arm stand up is hearing my mom tell me that story, because she doesn't believe in any of that stuff.
Yeah,
and hearing
right.
it come from her is just like, because my dad's a storyteller.
Yeah.
But hearing her tell me that, and she's like, it was really there.
Almost
Wow.
like so coming from a realist.
Right.
A
versus
realist.
somebody
Yeah,
that
like a
always tells
skeptic
stories.
telling you
Yeah.
a supernatural thing that confirmed to them, and she's like, I really saw it. It was there. And she can describe the dress and everything.
Wow. So you want to hear something that'll blow your mind about that? So I grew up in Berlin.
Uh-huh.
I know exactly where you're talking about. I know
Yeah.
the park you're talking about. I know the dirt road you're talking about.
Really?
And the story that I heard in regards to that is that they used to like have boats in that river, and that you, like you said, totally like verifying this is that that was the head of the Egg Harbor,
Right.
and that they used to put boats in that water, and that would feed into the like the Greater Egg Harbor River.
That's crazy.
So that's crazy. Like you're saying that, and I'm
yeah,
thinking to
right,
myself,
man.
wow, like.
Have you guys ever heard of the I don't want to say the book because it's more than a book now, but Weird New Jersey?
Yeah,
I have.
I've seen
Okay,
it.
so
I've never read it.
I got a couple of their magazines. They post periodically. I got their book. I got Weird Pennsylvania and everything. Stuff like what you're talking about
Yeah.
is in that book,
It
and they have
is.
firsthand accounts and stuff. I've driven to a couple of places that are on there just trying to see the stuff they're talking about.
Right.
And the
Well,
book's pretty thick. It's this thick.
Yeah.
I actually went to these woods and I metal detected
Did it?
to see if I could find anything, and it's creepy out there, right? But so I'm metal detecting, and I'm finding foundations from buildings. There was actually buildings back in them woods, and the woods are very dangerous because there was a lot of storms, so there was a lot of trees that were like hung
Okay.
up, widowmakers,
Yep.
and yeah.
Jinx!
Two times.
And I'm like, I'm not trying to be part of the whole story out here.
Right.
But so anyway, I dug a lot of bottles up back there because the bottles were with trash, metal trash, and I found a lot of old bottles. But I found a really cool old English coin from the early 1800s, and it had a hole drilled in it, and I had never seen that before. And when I looked it up, I found out that people would drill holes in coins because they didn't have pockets back in the day. They would make their own clothes. They didn't have pockets, so they would actually put the coins on a string and tie it inside of their waistband or around their neck so that people couldn't see their money. And they would hide it, and that's why this hole was drilled in this coin.
Wow.
And I found it back there, but it wasn't an American coin.
Yeah.
It was an English coin.
Wow.
So it was kind of cool to find that.
Yeah.
But yeah, those woods are something weird's going on in them woods.
About to take a trip out there.
We should take a trip
Yeah.
out there.
I'll tell you what, this is definitely a cool topic to talk about because it all ties into history, and I hated history growing up in school. I
love history.
hated history.
Love history.
Right.
But like, it just shows you that history is where we all come from, and
And you can't hide from
you
it.
can't hide from it. And
It's still there.
Can't tell that to
lurking.
cancel culture.
Yeah, you can't.
I mean, just look at the stories of Gettysburg and the ghosts that people are seeing in Gettysburg.
Yes.
right.
I
Yes.
mean,
I
that's
would love to
legit
go there, too,
stuff.
just to-
I've watched some of the videos
just for
on
ghosts.
YouTube, and like they're walking across the battlefield and stuff, and yeah, really. I mean, I believe in that stuff.
Penhurst,
Right.
right around the thing. It's supposed to be one of the most haunted jails.
I
Yeah.
don't believe in this stuff, but what will be really cool is if anybody still watching will tell their story. Let's
Yeah.
Oh,
let's
yeah, in the
see
comments.
let's see
Absolutely.
your story in the comments because
Cool.
it's awesome hearing about this stuff.
Yeah.
Being that you two know exactly what he's talking about, and
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
But that it brings you, it's the connection.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in that
You
that
grew up in
park.
that area.
Like,
You
I
knew
know
exactly
where he's talking
what he
about.
was talking about. I
Yeah.
don't, but we want to hear it because
Yeah, like what experience might you have that
absolutely.
that you could share with us about something like that's happened and that you've experienced? That's awesome.
Tell us your stories.
Tell us your stories, and again, thank you for watching.
Yes, thank you.
Peace.